Hello everyone, my name is John Platt, and I'm a general studies major. So when I heard that we needed to do a project about some process relating to our major, I had a little trouble because, well, anything could relate to general studies. But then I thought a little more and I realized my family's been dairy farming for 10 generations, and that's about since 1773. So we know a little bit about that process. And so I thought that would be a good one. For reference, this is a Holstein cow. This is the kind of cow that we've always had on our farm. And so when it came to processes, even that became complicated. I could choose any number of processes because farming is just a compilation of processes to make milk, basically. But in the end, I decided that it would be simplest and most interesting to just walk through the life of a dairy farmer, what they do, and why they do it on a daily basis. So I'll start with the premise of this. Everything that a dairy farmer does is in the interests of keeping his cows or her cows healthy and happy, meeting all of their needs. So with that in mind, let's dive in. So first thing in the morning, you go outside and you walk in the barn, and this is in the winter. I'll start in the winter because that's what it is now. But generally, as further context, dairy farming consists of two seasons. The warm season, where everything's growing and supporting animals, and then the cold season, where cows have to be fed everything because they can't forage for any food. So we'll start with the barn season. In the barn season, you go outside and you step in the barn, and the first thing you do is you walk through and make sure that all of your cows seem like they're in healthy shape and they're eating and drinking or sleeping, but they seem like they're healthy. Then you go about the business of cleaning up all of their food that they left behind, because like us, you wouldn't want to eat your next meal on your last meal's dirty dishes. So you go through it with a broom and you sweep up everything that they didn't eat, and then you clean up all of the manure that they left behind in the night, and maybe clean up their water bowls, which are basically like a faucet that they turn on with their noses to fill up a little bowl so they can drink. Now, just to sort of give you a perspective, cows drink 1 bathtub full of water every day. So these water bowls are very important. They're only the size of about a big cereal bowl, but they're very important. And then you take a look at the feed that they eat. About 100 pounds of food every day. So I'm not sure how many pounds your average meal is, but it's definitely puts that into perspective. And then, like I was saying, cleaning up the manure that they've left behind in the night. Every day they produce about 60 pounds, each cow. And our farm has generally held roughly 50 to 70 cows. It fluctuates depending on the babies that we have and everything, but that's a lot of manure. So once you've cleaned all of that up, you go about the business of feeding them. They're 100 pounds per cow per day, so generally they're fed twice a day, and these chores that I will describe are done pretty much the same way, once in the morning and once in the night, and you generally space the milkings apart by 12 hours. That gives the cows enough time to generate the milk and everything. So you go and you get the cart that you drive, put it underneath of the silos. We have upright silos, so all of the feed is stored in a column of concrete, and this little thing inside throws it down into the cart, and we feed them corn silage, which is chopped up corn that's been fermented in the silo, and we would feed them haylage or dry hay, depending on the year. Dry hay is just grass that's dried and squished into a bale, and haylage is grass that's not quite as dry, that's chopped up and also fermented in a silo. So you put that down in front of the cows for them to eat. And then you go through with the grain and put down their grain. Now, the scoop for the grain is about this big. It holds about 8 pounds of grain, and they get 1 scoop of that morning and night per day. Now, that is supplemented with different nutrients which are tested for by a third party that we hire in to make sure that the cows are getting all the nutrition that they need. So once all of this is done, you can turn to milking. And milking is very important because it's the most interaction that you ever have with your cows. And cows are very stress sensitive. So you have to always be calm and careful and treat them very well when you're going about milking, because if you don't, they'll be on edge and your milk quality will go down and their general health will also decline. Milking takes about an hour 15 minutes, depending on the number of cows. But if it's 12 hours apart that you've spaced your milkings, the amount of milk that the cows produce is even between the two. So you milk through the barn and keep a close eye on the condition of each cow. And you've checked in the morning before you started, but this is where you really get up close with each cow and interact with them and see how they're behaving. Over time, you begin to understand the way that each cow behaves, so you'll know when they're off. Then you go through and let's see, you go around to the back where all of our little cows are stored, and they are held in these pens generally in the wintertime. But you make sure that they have enough food and give them the same things, the grain, the silage, the haylage. They have hay feeders, so you put these big round bales in and they can get little bites out. And they're cleaned up about once a week. Now in the barn, the final step when you turn around and come back in, the cows will have finished eating and you clean. There's a barn cleaner that goes behind them. This barn cleaner carries all the manure that you've scraped from beneath them into a manure spreader, which is taken out and spread on the fields. Then the final step of the day, of each milking, which again happens twice a day, so could be in the morning, could be at night, is you throw down from upstairs above these cows is a hay mow where square bales are stored. They're about so big and maybe 50 pounds. And it usually takes about 4 bales. You space them out, and we have a bedding chopper, which grinds the bales up and spreads the nice bedding out for the cows. Now, it's very important to keep this bedding fresh because it absorbs any manure piles or things that they may leave beneath them. And it also makes for a soft place to lie down. And so that's very important. Now, in the summertime, the milkings are very much the same with the feed and the grain and the milking. The only difference is the amounts are adjusted slightly so that the cows have what they need, given the fact that they're spending most of their days outside on the pasture, grazing. They get a lot of nutrients that way. They also get their water mainly from the stream out behind our barn, and they sleep outside. They spend almost all of their time outside. During the day, between those 12-hour periods, they're outside. And then once they've been milked in the afternoon, like 5 o'clock, we let them back out again where they spend the night grazing and everything. They don't really mind the weather, and they like to be outside. They have thick skin and their fur protects them from most things. But so that's generally the process. And the final thing that cows really need that people don't realize, besides water and feed, a soft place to sleep, and manure cleaning so that they stay clean, is socialization. They actually really need to be in a herd. They bind with everybody around them, all of the animals, and actually, to some extent, you become part of their herd as well. You have certain cows that really, they become attached to you, and they enjoy your company, and it's really, that's my favorite part of farming. But so when you put them out to pasture, you have to make sure that they're all in the same pasture so that they can interact with each other and things can go well. But I'll close with this. I understand that some people feel like dairy farming is occasionally about exploiting the cows, but I'd like to leave you with the idea that it's in the best interest of the farmer, both financially because it makes more milk, and in terms of the longevity of your process and the joy of your experience, to keep your cows healthy and happy and comfortable so that they can live and thrive for a long time. And basically, that's the goal, and that should always be the goal. Thank you.